мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
After months of preparations, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has launched a major military operation against Ukraine.
Russia has launched a military assault on Ukraine, hitting targets across the country.
Breaking news at 11, a Russian invasion of Ukraine is underway as troops move in.
Tonight, Putin declared the start of a military operation in Ukraine just a short time ago.
It was unprovoked. But this is what Russian President Vladimir Putin unleashed on Ukraine.
Gunfire and explosions have been heard here and in the second city of Kharkiv shortly after the Russian President Vladimir Putin authorized a special military operation.
In late 2021, Russia began amassing troops along the Ukrainian border and sending military reinforcements to Belarus, Transnistria in Moldova, and Russian-occupied Crimea. Western analysts warned that war was inevitable, but Putin dismissed concerns as conspiracy theories. War, however, was on the horizon, and on 24th February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, causing significant destruction and taking control of some Ukrainian bases. The attack elicited horror from people around the world, including Russians themselves. So far, however, Ukrainian defenders have successfully resisted Russian attempts to seize major cities and launched counterattacks against Russian forces. Hello everyone and welcome back to Miyar Media. Today we're going to talk about how people within Russia have responded to Putin's invasion of Ukraine. To show their opposition to the war, protesters in cities like St. Petersburg have come out in huge numbers, despite warnings of serious criminal charges and imprisonment from Russia's Investigative Committee, the Russian equivalent of the United States FBI. According to OVD Info, Russian police detained 1,667 people at rallies in 53 cities, including 600 in Moscow. Many famous musicians, TV stars, and comedians also joined the protests and used social media to express their anti-war sentiments.
That's military. That's center of Kiev.
This is going to be very, very bad. Very bad. This is going to escalate to extreme proportions.
Maxim Golkin, a TV host, has argued that there is no justification for war. And singer Valery Mlodzy has called for an end to military action and a return to negotiations, stating that history will judge and put everything in its place. Political repression, however, has increased tremendously since Putin's fourth term began in 2018, and as protests opposing his invasion of Ukraine continued in March 2022, more than 4,600 people were arrested, making this the largest number of arrests in the 20 years since Putin came to power. New laws were also enacted that restricted free speech in Russia and banned people and organizations from criticizing the actions of the Russian army and the Russian government abroad. Mikhail Ziger, another Russian journalist, wrote an open letter to Putin in the same month, urging him to put a stop to the war. The letter was, however, dismissed, and a Russian Federal Communications Agency member went so far as to blame the letter for inciting extremism, disrupting public safety, and encouraging protests. He argued that Russia wasn't engaged in a war, but was instead engaged in quote-unquote a special military operation. War, according to him, was too extreme a term to define what was happening. In September 2022, President Putin implemented what he called a partial mobilization of Russia's armed forces. He signed an act to send civilians with military training to join the war, claiming that only those who had served in the army or had certain professions or the necessary experience would be drafted. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, however, announced that Russia would need 300,000 men as reinforcements to defend the front lines in Ukraine after Russia had successfully taken over some Ukrainian territories and planned to hold referendums for these regions to join Russia. Putin claimed that Russia had a moral obligation to protect civilians in these areas and tasked regional governors with overseeing the draft and penalizing those who deserted or refused service with a prison sentence of up to 10 years. Social media is full of videos of families who are being forced to say goodbye to their sons, fathers, and husbands as they're shipped off to join a war that they don't believe in. While the Russian government had claimed that only those with a military service background would be drafted, numerous draft papers were also sent to people with no prior military experience. Volunteer human rights monitoring group Avtozak Live reported that 9 arson attacks occurred on military recruitment centers and government buildings across Russia to prevent enlistment. Many young men have also fled the country to showcase their contempt for the war and avoid being drafted. International leaders, including US President Joe Biden, have condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the UN General Assembly, stating that Russia has shamelessly violated the core tenets of the UN Charter. Putin responded by saying that an even larger Russian force was now necessary, as the West was providing heavy weapons to Ukraine with the intent of weakening, isolating, and destroying Russia. It's clear that dissent outside of and within Russia, however, is continuing to grow. But when this pointless war will end, unfortunately, nobody really knows. Thank you for watching till the end. If you found this video informative, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until next time, goodbye.